there is always a part of fear that you will have some points. I mean, you're not doing things like fearless completely. And I'm an introvert person. I always have some part of fear in everything I do, even in entrepreneurship and stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't have to let fear like manipulate you or like get over you. Just do it, even with fear.
Yeah.
Just do it. So it was for me the best adventure ever. And I would ask every young people if he can have that chance to go for a few months. Because for me, let me explain why I have done it also. As I said, like you are having that path, following it like very good girl or a good boy.
Yeah.
Following it, okay, your parents are happy, you check the box, you get your first job contract, you have your first salary, everything is great. And at some point, I feel like you never take time to know who you really are and what you really want.
Yeah.
You never take that time because
it is a journey within.
18, 19, 20 you are too young, and then 23, 24, 25. And then at some point, I think you need to take some time. And for me, it was I took that decision of, okay, let's get out of the environment I'm used to it.
Yeah.
And go to somewhere else that I have no references and see, maybe I'll discover something about myself. Not only about the new countries and new cultures and stuff that I was traveling to.
And I think you learn the most about yourself during traveling. It's just something to do with being in a different environment like you did, just getting out of your own comfort. I think that was...
And at the same point, I was like having Eat, Pray, Love in my head and stuff. So like read the book, watched the movie. And I feel like, traveling is the best teacher.
It is. And I'm curious now, who were your role models growing up? Because, you must have some people around you that you saw or looked up to. So who were those people? Even inside the family or outside?
I won't say family. Definitely not. I'm sorry for that. Family was like my parents, and even my surrounding was like very simple background. Like maybe the best of them like has done maybe a master or something, or like having a job. And then so that was not an inspiration, to be honest, in my family. But I'll tell you a little story that I found quite funny. I actually learned English with Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, wow.
So I learned it as soon as I was like maybe 11, 12. I was watching her on TV. And I was watching her like religiously almost every day, or at least on the weekend and stuff. And I learned English thanks to her. Because I was at first, and I was impressed by that person. Yeah. So for me, it was like the main inspiration, to be honest.
Oh, wow. And that's a great role model.
At some point, I was like, maybe I'm in the media because of because of being like exposed to this. Because I've seen this Black woman in US starting from nothing and get into something.
Yeah.
And at some point, I remember she was like the richest woman in the world. And I was like, wow. I mean, how do you build this from that? And then I started discovering from time to time, like really crazy stories about being raped, about that, about this. I was like, what? How this person like came out through all these experiences and managed to be successful, and successful worldwide, not only in America. So it was an inspiration for me as a woman, as a Black woman. So it's like a minority.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like Arab women and stuff. Let's say this minority thing, and this strength that she has on her,
and also using what happened to her in a very powerful way and giving back to humanity as well, because her causes are really good.
So that was the main inspiration, like when I was a teenager, to be honest. And I was, for me, that was maybe somehow shaped who I am today.
Yeah. So at the age of 20, when you went in your 20s, early 20s, when you went to Paris, what was your take on success and leadership then versus now?
Nothing to do about. Same. Again, we are actually being fed like some stories and some stereotypes, let's call it this way, of success. So for me, was the biggest thing I can get to, it's being an engineer and like get into a big company, being, I don't know, working for Amazon or big international companies, and then jumping the ladder little by little to get up to, I don't know, international director of a business or whatever. So that was for me, like corporate ladder was for me like the biggest metric of success. That's what I was having in mind.
That's what we're all trained.
So we are actually trained this way. So it changed a lot. So in my 20s, 23, 24, 25, maybe after coming back from the trip, I will say, of Asia, I kind of changed my mind about it. I was like, okay, actually there is not only this to be successful. There's not only the corporate ladder to be successful. And I wasn't exposed to entrepreneurship, to be honest, when I was young. Even my grandfather was an entrepreneur, but he had a very bad ending story. Like the business just scrolled down and stuff at the end of his life. So it was kind of a taboo in the family. So no one talks about entrepreneurship. You just get the job, get some money or salary and shut up. That was the main thing. So success definitely changed. For me, success right now, it changed a lot. Maybe it will change tomorrow again. But right now, I feel it's to be able to express your full potential. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can be an artist. You can change 10 times the career through your lifetime.
That's actually very powerful. No?
That's all. For me, it's like really exploring your full potential. We don't care what you're doing.
And that is what we are doing. I mean, everyone is trying to compete with themselves and trying to become the best version that they can of themselves. So I think that is success. You're right. So when you came back from this trip, you obviously were living in Paris. And I remember in 2019, you started your podcast from your own apartment.
Right.
Is that when you started entrepreneurship or thinking about being an entrepreneur? How was that journey like? And I want to know about the podcast. What made you start it?
Right.
And I remember somewhere you mentioned that obviously the equipment was very mediocre. Of course, it might be very uncertain. What are you doing with this project? So just take me through that journey.
Yeah. So at that point, when I decided to do the podcast, I was working. So I was like working a corporate. That was my third job. It was in logistics and supply chain of like a work site, big work site in Paris. So it was a very mannish environment. It was like, so I wasn't very happy, to be honest, like not very thriving as Sara.
I get it.
That's where I thought that maybe I have to have like some side project. And also I've been working for ISEC when I was a student actually in Morocco. I always want to have some impact beside like just working and making your life.
You're a people's person, even though you are an introvert. But
I'm an introvert, but I love to. I don't want to be in this world, part of this world, and leave this world without leaving a mark.
Yeah.
At least in someone's soul or life or whatever. So impact for me is really important till today, and that's what actually is driving most of my ventures. At that point, my sister was 16. And I asked her once, she's in Morocco, and I was like, like, what you want to be or do? And she said, like, I don't know, actually. I don't know what is available. I don't know what is possible. I mean, I'll see, whatever. And she's the little one, so she's like kind of not caring. She's not having all the weight and the burden we had at the eldest. So she don't care. So like, okay, I'm going to do whatever. And actually it stuck with me. And I was like, okay, actually we have a huge problem of role model. I had Oprah Winfrey, thanks God, at that point when I was a teenager. But the teenagers and the youth of, let's say, Arab countries or MENA region, they don't have anyone to look up to, not much.
Yeah.
So there is a problem of identification, and we don't have a role model to follow. That's where actually the podcast starts. Like, okay. And I started actually listening to a lot of podcasts at that point. Before I learned, I started it. So I was listening to Jay Shetty.
Yeah.
That was one of the first podcasts that came out in my kitchen while doing the dishes, while cooking. I was like obsessed with podcasts. I was maybe maybe at least 2-3 episodes sometimes per day.
Wow.
And just like feed in some French podcasts about entrepreneurship. So he was having like a lot of entrepreneurs successful, and I felt like you learn so much.
Yeah.
You feel like you are living multiple lives, and having like the inside of the story and the failure, as you said, and the challenges and the lessons. I was like, why we don't have this? And at that point, actually, when I launched the podcast, I was the first ever Moroccan podcast about entrepreneurship.
Oh, wow.